Yeah. Well, it really is crazy. Like you're mentioning how even if Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden had been president when the pandemic started, we might be in a little bit of a better place, but not in a dramatic sense, probably. There's still neoliberals at the whim of corporate America who's, put profit above people this entire pandemic. And it really just, brings home how similar our two party establishments are right now, not only with the pandemic response, but also Biden's foreign policy. Despite him posturing as if he had all these different plans and ideas for our foreign policy, it's basically the same with a few minor tweaks and a few admittedly positive developments, but for the most part, it's a lot of window dressing on imperialist policies, and in some cases even ramping up said imperialist policies with troops in Iraq and such. And I'm just wondering, because when you were watching the Hawks, I really enjoyed the reporting you would do. I remember you were at the Green Party convention in 2016, and you guys talked to Nick Brana from the People's Party, had some great coverage and conversations about third party movements. And I'm just wondering if you have any ideas or any thoughts about any modern third party movements. We see support for third parties actually at an all-time high right now. This is according to Gallup. So it seems like this is in the air right now. There's a lot of varying opinions on whether or not it's a wasted effort or wasted potential to even pursue in the first place, or if it's a valid use of resources and activist energy. And again, I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts on Americans' desire for a third party and the viability of any modern efforts.
I think that we do. We see that on both the right and the left, for better or worse, they want something else than what we already have, which is two very vapid parties that are, run and powered by large corporations, money that they give to both sides. So, they're kind of useless. And I don't even know if it's worth, I've vacillated between this idea of, why don't we take over the Democratic Party, those on the left, take over the Democratic Party, take their infrastructure, take all their stuff, and just push them out. And I still think that's a viable option, but I think you're still always going to have a certain power in there that's going to be very corporate and toes the line and, a socially liberal, war-loving is kind of where I feel like you can't get rid of those people who are going to love war and want to sell it and make a lot of money on it, who are also going to tout that they're, pro-choice and so progressive.
The rainbow bombers. Yeah.
Yeah. They're pretty.
Were you surprised at all, as a longtime Hawk watcher, somebody who's had their eye on foreign policy for, a time, I guess one of the, maybe it was naivete. I don't know. When I was looking at the candidacy of Joe Biden, it was a really mixed bag. Obviously, you have a fucking, we don't even need to describe Trump. Our feelings about him on the Vanguard are pretty apparent. But on the other hand, I found Biden almost just as odious for the, crime bill and, the bankruptcy bill and, just his entire, time in the Senate, palling up with Strom Thurmond, arch segregationists, all of these kinds of draconian policies that he'd been in favor of, cheerleading war, etc., covering up torture. These are all things that I think are just as odious as the, corrupt acts of Donald Trump, except for maybe they would be slightly less, right? I did expect him to get back into the New START treaty. I expected him to more forcefully than he has, reduce the United States support for the Saudi genocide in Yemen. I expected him to immediately work with Iran to get back into the Iran deal, if nothing else, because he loves to anchor himself to the Obama administration's legacy. It would end the Iran deal being among their chief foreign policy accomplishments. I thought for sure he would just take the easy route and be like, see, I'm doing exactly what Obama did, take the easy points. And he didn't. He just said, fuck everybody else. I'm going to be just as imperialist and, take my dick out and be like, you submit to me or we're going to continue to starve your people and make sure your children don't have medicine and toothpaste and all the things they need to survive. I was admittedly surprised at how imperialistic, even, with my very low standards. Were you at all surprised?
No. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because he comes from the Clinton era school of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And it's not worth doing if you cannot provide a beautiful picture of you signing papers next to the big mean dictator, or, you know, standing in some stupid palace somewhere with a bunch of world leaders showing how you all came together after COVID or whatever, they won't do it until they can figure out a way to make it a photo op. It's about legacy. And I swear he's just trying to save it's about like trying to save your legacy for things you felt were wrong. He knows what was wrong with the crime bill, and he's going to allow other people to put things through, and he'll sign them and be like, great guys, like I fixed it. Yeah, I didn't do anything, but I fixed it. Yeah. I let other people fix it. But with like Iran, Yemen, that was disappointing. Cause like you, I mean, the bars.
Oh yeah, so do you oppose genocide? Are you willing to make money off of the actual genocide of the Yemeni people, the starving children? I mean, if anybody wants to see it, you can find the horrifying photographs of the starving children in this country, and that's because of Saudi Arabia, and they're doing it with the stuff that our country sold them, that we manufactured with your tax dollars, if you're listening to this. And you should take it deeply personally that we're continuing to, in our corrupt, shadowy, only when it's defensive fucking horse shit, we're going to continue to supply them with weaponry.
And that's even after the actions of Saudi Arabia under Trump with Jamal Khashoggi. And it really just is indicative of the fact.
This is after 9/11.
Yeah.
How many from 9/11 were from Saudi Arabia? We've been at war my entire fucking life.
But because they're one of the biggest, they're one of the biggest clients of the defense contractors, which is, like this massive industry that just will sell to anyone regardless of their, moral actions, whatever they want to do with the weapons. They don't care. They're neutral. They're like, Staples, the paper company. If they're have a giant distributor that wants their product, they're gonna sell to those people, which is why it's so disgraceful that we have a profit motive, surrounding our military industrial complex.